Hello, welcome back. No. It is me, Reece, and today we are talking about some of the campest lamps in history. And I think to talk about such a topic, I will need to get changed. That's better. But what makes a lamp camp? I'll be using my architectural historical knowledge and my camp disposition to rate each lamp using 3 criteria: fabulousness, utility, flamboyance. So it's going to be the 3 Fs of camp. It's time for your enlightenment. Bring on the lamps! Before we get to anything too campy or lampy, you need to like this video, comment something nice, and subscribe now.
These are porcelain candelabra from France from 1775 to 1880.
They don't look too bad, do they? Aged well, they must use a very expensive retinoid. I can tell instantly that they are Rococo. Rococo was a design style that came about in 18th century France. It was a reaction to Baroque, which was very serious, and Rococo wanted to be frivolous and fabulous, rebellious younger sister or brother. Louis XV and his mistress, Madame de Pompadour, opened this porcelain factory to create such gorgeous artifacts as these. He was a bit more focused on porcelain and gilded bronze rather than running the country. That would later lead to, you know, Let Them Eat Cake, The Guillotine, Les Miserables. If I ran the country, would I be distracted by nice things? I feel like that's a leading question. I can imagine these lamps being in the homes of Liberace and Lisa Vanderpump. There's more crossover there than you think. I think we can all agree here these 2 lamps are pretty fabulous. They're incredibly flamboyant, and I'd say they're pretty futile too. You know, you don't want to start off too strong, so I'm going to give these a very solid 4 out of 5. I think that's fair.
This is a lamp stand made by the Omega workshops.
That's lovely.
Between 1913 and 1919.
Interesting time for design. This has a lot of Art Deco influences in its sort of geometry. Now you also have to imagine this with a lampshade, ding. Omega Workshops was founded by Roger Fry, who was part of the Bloomsbury Group, which was a very radical sort of creative cohort of people during the early 20th century. Members included Virginia Woolf, E.M. Forster, what we would sort of describe today as the London-based creatives. They were very sort of incestuous and openly queer, very radical for the time. It was sort of post-industrial revolution where everything was being made by machines. A lot of artists and collectives were sort of doubling down on making stuff by hand. I think that's quite camp in itself, really, to turn your back on the machine and to hand chisel and hand paint a lamp. Now we've set the benchmark, the Rococo Candelabra. It's just not as camp, is it? I think we are gonna have to give this a 2 out of 5. That's not to say I don't like it. This isn't a Reece rating scale, this is a camp scale.
This is the Oceanic lamp designed by Michele de Lucchi in 1981.
Wowee. Once again, I'm here today for my fellow postmodern princesses.
Princess, look out the window. And welcome to Genovia.
What a beautiful lamp. Well, the thing is with Memphis Design, they were probably some of the campest of them all. This was part of a collection all themed around oceanic design, sort of semi-cruise liner, semi-Loch Ness monster, semi-Titanic. And if you listen closely, you can hear Celine Dion. Postmodernism is sort of peak anti-functionalism. If modernism was function over form, then this is definitely form over function. I can definitely see this being in someone like Grace Jones's house. Excess, campness. Let's rate this camp lamp. I'd love to give this 5 out of 5, but I think my personal bias is getting in the way. It's a bit too useful as a lamp to give it 5 out of 5 camps. So I'm thinking a very solid 4.5 out of 5. It's nearly there. It just needs to be, well, more futile, I guess.
This is the Bibibibi lamp designed by Ingo Maurer in 1982.
Well, that's one funky chicken. It almost feels as if it's like a bird of the future, maybe like a robot bird, like if Wall-E had robot birds in it. So Ingo Maurer saw these legs of what was once a model of a stork in Woolworths and was inspired to make this lamp. It was a wedding gift. If I got this as a wedding gift, it would really be the best day of my life. I didn't think anything could feel more playful than the Memphis lamp, but here we are. So I'm going to have to rank this very carefully. It's full of wit, which postmodernism is all about, but this is probably one of the most useful lamps that we've had today. I'm imagining that Bjork would have this proudly on her mantelpiece. I'd love to give this a 4.5 to match that of the Memphis Group, but as it is so useful as a lamp, I'm gonna give it a solid 4 out of 5. Wow.
This is SM by Lucio Bubacco, made in 2008.
It's obviously a very kinky design. Insert whip cracking noise. It's not technically a lamp, but it is lamp-worked glass from the island of Murano in Italy, famous specifically for its glass glowing. Specifically for its glass blowing. I've actually been there myself. Maybe we'll put a picture of me in the studios up in post, maybe not. Now, it's a centuries-old craft that has obviously been brought into the modern paradigm of sexual revolution and, well, S&M. So this is obviously our final lamp. I'm conflicted. I don't know whether to put this at the bottom or at the top. It's obviously not really a lamp, but then does that make it more camp? I am gonna have to give this one a 5 out of 5. It's fabulous, it's definitely futile, and the flamboyance, I mean, it's off the charts here. Give it up for our CAMPEST lamp, everyone. Yay.